communication is about proper writing and proper research. It is communication that will distinguish you as an excellent advocate.
The 24 things that advocates do that annoy judges. Not the suit, not the tie. The integrity, the pride which you hold in profession. But this subject is very close to my heart. And the lesson was brought to me quite powerfully 3 years ago. I was invited to speak at the Sunshine Secondary School on Langati Road as a guest speaker during the prize giving day. Sunshine School was then going through one of its most difficult times. If you recall, Sunshine at the time had huge problems of discipline with the students. There were claims of sodomy, bang smoking, and other ills that afflict our schools today. Caroline Mutoko, on her show, that morning on the 16th of June 2015, had spoken powerfully about the need for mentorship. That our children are getting lost because we do not have mentors. So when I spoke about mentorship to the students, it also occurred to me, I was as guilty as the rest of you in not doing my bit to ensure that those who came after me in the legal profession got my bit of experience through mentorship. So today, as I stand here, like Tom, I have a group of young fellows, 18 to 25, about 20 of them, who I mentor. Some are young lawyers, some are in high school, some are Strathmore, some are KU, and some are at the University of Nairobi. So I redeemed myself. Will you redeem yourselves at some point? And why is this subject important? I find it very difficult to understand why senior lawyers and judges like myself would be happy to take you to Pasara, take you to Trattoria, buy you tea and mandazi, nothing more expensive than that. At the LSK conferences, buy you cognac and whiskey, or the money here and he knows what happens there. But not take you through much more than that. The professional beats that they ought to impact you as your seniors. I don't want to say that this is only for the senior lawyers, because very soon you will be the senior lawyers. At the rate at which we are meeting advocates, very soon you'll be very, very senior lawyers yourself. So this statement must apply to you as it applies to you. So when I speak here, don't assume that this is supposed to be a mentor's thing and not a mentee's thing. Both you now can be mentees, but tomorrow you'll be the mentors. When I spoke at Strathmore, at Sunshine School, I told them the story of the beginning of mentorship. And you know, the British, the English, have a way of borrowing everything from others. Even the word mentor didn't come from them. So just like they lose the World Cup and other things, they don't create their own words. Professor Jenda spoke about the history of the law. But some of us have taken a bit of time to read Greek mythology. And if you recall, one of the epic writings from the Greek times is Odyssey by Homer. And Homer writes about Odyssey sending his son to mentor, a guy called Mentor, to be guided, to be shepherded, to be chaperoned, to be led, to be guided, to be taught by Mentor. So the British later took up the word, guy's name, and now tell us mentorship is a verb and not a noun. And why is that important? It tells us that this word mentorship, the concept of mentorship, is not a 21st century issue per se. Because if in the days of Trojan War, Mentor had the capacity to mentor Odysseus' son and guide him and shepherd him and lead him into the man that he later became, then it's a duty for us today, in the changing world, like Okesho read, to ensure that we impart what we have, our experiences, to those that follow us. And for us as Kenyans, and the bar, as well as the bench, this is the time. Those of you who heard me speak at the launch of the Nairobi Law Society will recall my speech, where I said, I am going to speak about the 24 things that advocates do that annoy judges. Actually, I had 48, but I gave you 24. And the reason is, standards in our profession have gone dismally low. Very, very low, so much so that not too far away, actually yesterday, the Supreme Court is sitting and the State Council stands up and says, my lords, I seek an adjournment because my colleague is sick. Then he sat down. The Chief Justice asked, sick? When did she become sick? My lord, I don't know. And he sat down. Now, if you had heard my speech at Carnival that night, you'd have had my pain at what a judge goes through because of the conduct of advocates. And why is that a problem? Because as we continue pursuing cash, as we continue pursuing briefs, as we continue pursuing clients and bank accounts, we forget the things that make this profession different from others. The honor, the glory, not the suit, not the tie. The integrity, the pride with which you hold your profession. And how you conduct yourself in court is one of those things I must be proud about. And so, it is not enough for you to say, I am a successful lawyer or I intend to be a successful lawyer. You must show that success by your ability to deal with complex and the changing landscape of our profession through broad experience borrowed from your mentors and your own deep expertise learned over time. And so that you don't have to keep making my hair grow grayer by the day because of the stress of having to undertake difficult situations in my court. But mentorship must go along with three other issues, three other interventions that you require as a professional. One, the formal learning program. And this, for me, is a wonderful opportunity for us to start engaging with each other on issues of law. Trainings, seminars, conferences. Don't take the Law Society conference or East African Law Society annual conference, East African Law Society annual conference to be a time to go and wear shorts and sandals at the only place you guys go to. You know what it is called? Diane is called? Leisure Lodge. Well, the name speaks for itself, but still, you need to learn something out of that. How many of you actually sit through the training programs? How many of you are taking selfies at the beach? How many of you carry whiskeys in your pockets, in your bags, instead of something about the conference? Coaching. Coaching has many ways of assisting you to be a better professional. One of the things Tom spoke about is communication. How many of you know that in this city, there are trainings for how you can communicate effectively? One of the lawyers, who's now a governor, whose name shall remain unnamed, unmentioned, had difficulties with this speech. What did he do? he went for a communication course. And over time, he knew his weaknesses in communication, and he improved his ability to communicate in speech. He was very good at writing, but not in speech. When we were being interviewed for all these positions in the Jewish Service Commission, I know a lot of my colleagues who also went for coaching on how to be interviewed. A lot of you now are at the stage where, and I'll speak about it later, you're moving from job to job. Have you thought about getting professional coaching in preparation for an interview? As opposed to you going there, you've crammed everything the whole night. At the interview point, Lord have mercy, everything goes. Then you don't get the job and say, you know, those interviewers just don't like me. You are not prepared. Experimental learning. When I was at Hamilton High School Matthews as a pupil, one of my masters was very good at experimenting about how he's going to argue his cases in court. So he would have his notes, but then one of his colleagues would then fire questions at him, question his thinking, question his approach, question his submissions. How many of you do that? How many of you even write the questions you're going to ask in court? A lot of you, and trust me, I have seen it. You come to court, your clerk brings the file to you in court. You have not seen the file since the last time you were in court, a year ago. A witness is brought there, then you start shuffling papers. That's when English becomes foreign. Mr. Witness, did you went? Because you're not prepared. How many of you actually sit in court and watch other advocates perform even if you're not in that matter? How many of you have sat in court watching Firoz Noroji argue his case? How many of you have sat in court watching Fred Ngatia argue his case, or Fred Ojamo, and other senior lawyers, and I can mention all of them, just to see how they weave around issues in court, and then learn from that. You don't need to pay for that. So instead of manga-mangering from office to office, greeting your friends, spend 2 hours in court. How many of you watched the proceedings of the election petition last year, even on TV, and see who's bumbling, who's waffling, who's shuffling, who's messing? Experimental learning. And then ask me, Judge, look, I am from Pokot. We don't have lawyers in Pokot. We are only 3. Who will mentor me? How do I find a mentor? My answer would be, begin from that subject which a lot of you in this house failed. That subject called chemistry. Next to maths. Because lawyers never pass either of those two. But if you must know, I didn't do too badly in mathematics. Let's leave chemistry for now. Chemistry. There are some people who you know as a person, you have a good chemistry with, a senior. Perhaps someone called a role model. You know, a lot of you, as young people, you know, as you're in the university, you're in high school, even now, there are some seniors you look at on TV, you read about, and you just say, that is the person I want to be like. A role model. Prof, you remember during the interviews for these positions in the judiciary, there was that one question we all asked. Who do you consider to be your role model? A lot of judges, actually 95%, said the late Chief Justice Madam. The next question should have been, how is he your role model? Is it because you are Githunguri versus Githunguri? So now, that is your role model. Which other judgment of Justice Madam do those people know? One judge, thankfully, said, my role model is the late Chief Justice of India, Chief Justice Bhagwati. And she was asked why, and she said, because I worked under him. So I could see him at a close view. Look for someone who's your role model, who can adopt you as a mentee. But please, 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 don't give up if you find that the role model also has very many weaknesses. Because sometimes you adore this person from a distance, when you come to get near them, they have smelly socks. Or their office is so disorganized, you're not able to tell where one file from the other is, but somehow they survive. Choose someone who can relate with you. There's a chemistry between that person and yourself. I was speaking to the Vice President of the Law Society earlier, and I was telling her that one of my proposals, which I'm making now, is that the Law Society must now make it happen by having a Law Society-led mentorship program. So that we don't have to do it ad hoc, where Tom does it on his own, I do it on my own, someone else does it on their own. We have a structure of mentorship. In fact, in the US, and you can read about this, almost every court station and every bar association has a mentorship program where mentees and mentors are paired, and then they are able to work around a guideline, a system that is structured. Why are we not doing this in this country? Those days, in the 60s and 70s, when you had 8 African lawyers, 10 Indian lawyers, and 50 white lawyers, that may not have been difficult. But today, when you are meeting every week 500 young lawyers, who will hold their hand unless you have a structured program led by the Law Society? Next to that, we must have guidelines for mentees and mentors. This morning I was reading the Illinois Supreme Court mentorship guidelines, a fantastic document we can use to structure our own mentorship program. When you finally decide to do that, Madam Vice President, please seek me out. I'll be quite willing to assist in developing those guidelines. Back to my conferences and leisure lodge. Instead of doing what we do in leisure lodge and White Sands and other places, why don't you spend time with your seniors? Seek them out, talk with them, gain something from them, and probably create a mentorship relationship there. Create social media sites. I know of a number of WhatsApp forums where you guys engage on all manner of things. Which one actually is about mentorship? Of all of them. In which one have we in the last 2 years discussed any issue about mentorship? But in how many have you discussed politics? Including of the Law Society? In how many have you discussed Otola moments? Why don't you use these sites to have a discussion around questions that are beneficial to your professional life? When you do that, please focus on 2 key areas of mentorship. 1, ethics. Ethics. Those who have had the misfortune of appearing at this advisory committee would know the number of complaints that are filed against advocates. I was traumatized this week when I saw an advocate in the dock in Mombasa having stolen clients' money, and he was begging to repay the money in installments. Now, if you cannot pay 20 million that you stole, by how many installments will you pay that 20 million, and from where? come back to the details of what I mean by this shortly. 2, personal and professional development. How do you handle your clients? Your mentor has been in practice for 20, 25, 30 years. Surely he must know how best to handle your clients and can guide you in doing that. How do you handle your finances? Is your client's account, they dig one hole, fill the other whole account? How do you ensure that your client's account is your client's account and is not your entertainment account or your investment account? How do you ensure that you balance between work and all the other joys of life? Your mentor is able to tell you how he has survived married for 20 years, like myself. How he survived naughty children, like yourself formerly. These things are important. But to go to specifics, mentorship must include the following issues. Tom has spoken about communication. Let me speak about 15 others very quickly. 1, what are the common malpractices and how do you avoid them as an advocate? 2, how do you deal with conflict of interest situations as a professional? When do you say no to a case? Is it that every case must be taken, even if you know you acted for the respondent last week? Or you know that you're on the board of the second respondent, but you still proceed and act for the petition? 3, what do you do if you know that a colleague has misconducted himself or herself? Do you tell on them? Do you snitch? Or do you say, brotherhood, brotherhood, brotherhood? How do you prepare for cases in court? And how do you behave in court? One of the shocking things for me, at least in my generation, we were taught the front seat in the court is for the senior counsel, senior advocates, and that you know your place in society. You sit. These days I see advocates having to push each other with their butt to push somebody out. Why would that happen in a profession of our kind? Tom Ogenda is one of those who demands his place, and that he must be heard first. So when he comes, senior counsel in the house, senior counsel in the house. My lord. Why should he have to do that? You should know that senior counsel is there giving his place. When you get to be senior counsel, you get your place. Is it a good thing to argue the judge until both your voices are hoarse? At what point you back down? How do you improve your professional judgment? How do you ensure that you're a good judge of the things that you do, the cases that you take, the manner you handle it? Do you lie in your pleadings? Do you hide pleadings under the table so that the judge will not know? Well, we try to know, but sometimes we can't. What are the issues of protocol? I know we are a bit confused these days about how to address judicial officers and each other. You say, my Lord Cohen here, talking to Amanya, is making a very foolish point, my Lord. What happened to learned friend? Even if it's not learned in your mind, in your view. Do you feel comfortable to call a judge as one Jackie Manani once called me on Facebook? Isaac, you must understand this. I've never forgiven him. So I was looking for the opportunity to say, I am not called Isaac on Facebook. How do you address each other? How do you address judges? Your mentor ought to tell you about networking. Tom spoke about networking. One of the lessons that I learned in my time in practice is the power of networking. Don't call yourself an introvert and therefore you don't network. Don't call yourself shy and therefore not network. Can you imagine those who are not in this hall today, what they'll miss after all the night is gone? Because they're saying, I'm having a drink at Cedars with my friend. Networking. How many of you think there's value in pro bono services? One of the fellows that I think you gave an award this year was John Chigiti. John Chigiti picked on an area that a lot of us don't even think about. Intersex children. You read the story yesterday in the Standard about a guy called Karanja who was born with both organs and has lived through life with that stigma. John Chigiti has taken up that issue as a pro bono question for him. What other issue can you take up as a pro bono lawyer and get the satisfaction that I'm doing something good in my profession? What other areas exist out there? Time management skills and techniques. Today I was telling Tom when we were coming that one of the lessons of mentorship, which I'm going to speak about, is timekeeping. So we come for a mentorship session about mentorship, and then all of us stroll in at 6:30 when we're meant to be there at 5. How do you keep time? Are you the sort of guy who when your clients come, your client says, I'm coming at 11, you keep pushing client after client after client because you have not planned what to do with client number 1. So client number 1, come at 7 sharp please, then this thing is no longer useful because it's just an operation you wear to look smart. The phones have everything, isn't it? So you tell your client come at 7, you come at 7:30 or 8, then you keep pushing everybody. So the client number 5 is going to wait for 5 hours because client number 1 came late, because you came late, because everybody came late. How do you keep your 24 hours done when you still need to go to your children and wife or an husband? Time. Are you the sort of guy who looks at the cost list and says, knowing Isaac Lenaola, Ujama, atafika mine at 11. So you start in at 11, your matter has been dismissed at 9, then you say, now you see what you have done. The cost list says 9. Who says 11? How do you ensure your time is used well? Your mentor ought to teach you how to do that. Confidentiality. I see some of my colleagues in the Supreme Court law clerks, and one of the issues that we in the judiciary are suffering through now is the issue of confidentiality. Same with you in the bar. Are you the sort of guy who on a Friday evening or Saturday evening, you go and brag to your guys in the West, Apoko pavement. You go and brag to them how the client today came and told you this hot story in a matrimonial case. How do you ensure that you retain your confidential client advocate confidentiality beyond any doubt? Your mentor will tell you their own experiences and how they overcame them if there are any challenges. Your mentor ought to tell you about your career path. Career path. A lot of you are in that stage where you're wondering whether your master's degree makes sense anymore. You have applied left, right, and center with this fantastic degree from Pretoria, or from where we students are applied, University of Washington in Seattle, and nobody's taking you seriously. Have you asked yourself whether it is you making a mistake by applying to Britain where you have nothing to do with Britain? Or you see an advert for a job somewhere and you decide, LLB matters, not at the other issues, experience, qualification, blah, 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 blah. How do you choose your career path? Why should you work in a big firm or a small firm? Not burn your bridges. Don't walk away in a manner that would cause conflict with your former employer, because you never know when that bridge you just crossed may be necessary, may be useful to you. 2, never ever leave without having somewhere to go. This idea you can wake up in the morning and say, I'm fed up with this job. Okay, fed up, but tomorrow you need to feed. So you must ensure that you have somewhere to go. Leave one job for another. Don't walk out to the streets and then disturb your friends during the day. You guys, can we have lunch at 10 for lunch? Leave and go somewhere. 3, should you have had any conflict, please mend those relationships. If you have fought with a clerk, if you fought with a senior, you fought with a partner, an associate, please go and make peace. You never know where that fellow, you say, well, you think he's on the office that I can work in. Then you walk away bouncing, because now you've got a job somewhere else. You never know. The other day, I think you read something about what a Boy posted about the Omenyambi principle. Now, Omenyambi, for those who come from Umias, would know that King Nabongo Mumia of Wanga, by being king, absolutely had no capacity to fart. Oh, sorry, to pass gas. So whenever he did that, one of the fellows on his right or the left would take the blame. And then say, Mzee, sorry, it is me. That wife of mine from Bunyore, she gave me bad yams, she spoke bad things, so it isn't at all. Move. Another one comes. You never know where the Omenyambi will come from. So never ever leave with a bad name. Above all, my friends, reputation. In this profession, reputation is the only gap that you have. You lose it, it's gone. To reclaim it will be very, very difficult. Since my admission to the bar on the 19th of September 1991, I have watched advocates in this town come and go, rise and fall. In our days, the richest, well, at least from what we could see, and the guys who are the most flamboyant were guys who are called ambulance chasers. So guys who are doing running down cases. Today, I cannot point out anyone who has survived the fall of insurance companies. The moment United Insurance fell, Access Insurance fell, not Gateway, the other one fell, they fell. And their reputations are in tatters today. How do you ensure that you are not left naked in your profession by losing your reputation? Your mentors ought to tell you that there is no either way you can retain a semblance of professionalism if you are naked in front of your colleagues because you've lost your reputation. There's no answer to that. And so then, why is mentorship, along the lines I've spoken about, such an important matter in our professional lives today, in the 21st century? I can vent only 3 reasons why that is important. A mentor ought to be able to get you to push yourself so hard that you discover and exploit hidden strengths and talents. A lot of us, the Bible says, sometimes we hide our talents under the bed. A mentor ought to be able to prod you, to nudge you, to discover yourself fully in the ways that I've said. Number 2, a good mentor will also have to teach you how to have career satisfaction. If you ever see a lawyer who whines day in, day out, that is a classic case of career dissatisfaction. I'm not necessarily those who brag are satisfied. So you must know who is satisfied career-wise. Are you the sort of person who moves from office to office, 6 months in this firm, 4 months in an NGO, 6 months in the judiciary, 5 months elsewhere? Where is your satisfaction coming from? Settle, settle, settle. Find your place. I spoke about expanding a professional network. The moment you know a mentor who is able to expose you to his friends, to his networks, plans and briefs will come. Your career will be one that is satisfying. Okay, sure, I think I've overspent my time. And we spoke about keeping time. I'll close by saying this. This forum should be the beginning of something big for our profession in terms of the old and the young getting together, for the old to guide each other. Hand over the mantle of professionalism to those that are below them, and that mantle can be passed on and on from one generation to another. And save our profession from failure, from ignominy, from disrepute. 2, like I said, we must institutionalize mentorship. And I'm happy the Vice President has an idea about that. And lastly, if we have this done properly, with good guidelines, I'm certain myself that we shall reap the benefits of our profession and live happily thereafter. I thank you very much.